Dana slowly opened her eyes, the hospital room light piercing her retinas like needles. The white ceiling seemed to spin gently, and a rhythmic beep comforted her with its constancy. She tried to sit up, but a sharp pain in her head made her recoil against the pillows. "Where am I?" she murmured, her voice hoarse from disuse. When she brought her hand to her forehead, her fingers encountered a bandage. The rough texture beneath her fingertips confused her even more. She couldn't remember how she had arrived there or what had happened. A middle-aged nurse with kind eyes and a badge that read, "Teresa," approached quickly, adjusting the IV connected to Dana's arm. "We're glad you're awake, Mrs. Fleming. You gave us quite a scare." "What happened to me?" "Your co-workers brought you in. It seems you fell from the stairs at the office where you work. You were lucky that someone found you quickly." Dana frowned, trying to remember that moment, but her mind seemed shrouded in mist. She remembered going to work, her breakfast with Richard, toast with raspberry jam as always, but after that, nothing. The doctor came in shortly thereafter, a grey-haired man with a confident demeanour. He checked her vital signs and asked her some simple questions about her name, place of birth, and her parents' names. "Dana Fleming, you suffered a concussion. The hit on the head caused a small trauma, but the tests don't show anything serious. We'll keep you under observation tonight, and if everything goes well, you'll be discharged in the morning." "Doctor, I can't remember how I fell. Is that normal?" "Perfectly normal. Amnesia from the traumatic event is common in cases like yours. You may never remember the exact moment of the fall." After the doctor left, Dana started thinking about her co-workers. She always maintained good relationships at the office, especially with Jenny from the design department and Carlos from accounting. They used to have lunch together almost every day. "Did any of my colleagues stay here with me?" she asked when the nurse returned. "A girl from your work stayed until we knew you were out of danger, but she left as soon as the tests confirmed there was nothing serious." The nurse adjusted the sheets. She seemed relieved but in a hurry to leave. Dana found it strange. Her colleagues would never behave like this. Someone would have stayed at least until she woke up. Noticing her bag on the chair next to the bed, Dana reached for it. She needed to call Richard. He must be worried. By this time, she would normally be at home preparing dinner while he set the table, as they had been doing for the 5 years since they got married. Her cell phone seemed different. Where was the photo from their wedding at the botanical garden that she always used as her background? In its place was just an abstract pattern of colours. Confused, Dana checked her recent messages. None from Richard. A chill ran down her spine as she dialed his number. After 3 rings, she heard the familiar voice, but the tone was distant, almost formal. "Dana, what's happening for you to call me?" Her heart sank. Why did he sound so surprised, so cold? "Richard, I had a fall and I'll have to spend the night in the hospital." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "I'm sorry to hear about this incident. I hope you recover soon. Do you need anything?" His formality left her stunned. Had they argued? She couldn't recall any recent disagreement. "Could you at least come pick me up from the hospital tomorrow?" she asked, unable to hide the disappointment in her voice. "All right, Dana. I can pick you up there tomorrow." She hung up, feeling more confused than before. What had happened between them? Her head ached as she tried to force memories that seemed blocked by an invisible wall. During the night, her dreams were fragmented. Flashes of arguments, papers being signed, boxes being packed. She woke up startled several times, only to fall back asleep with more questions than answers. In the morning, after a tasteless breakfast at the hospital and signing the discharge papers, Dana walked to the reception. Richard was there, leaning against a column, fiddling with his phone. Her heart raced at the sight of him. Brown hair carefully combed, the trimmed beard she always loved, the blue sweater she had given him last Christmas. Without thinking twice, she ran to hug him, but he stepped back, extending his hand formally, as if they were mere acquaintances. "What is this, Richard? You're refusing a hug from your wife?" The hurt in her voice was palpable. His face first showed confusion, then understanding, and finally something close to pity. Wife? Dana, we're not married anymore. What kind of joke is this? The words hit her like a slap. What do you mean we're not married anymore? Richard, yesterday morning we had breakfast together before I went to work. He shook his head, a crease of concern forming between his eyebrows. Dana, we got divorced 6 months ago. Since then we've barely spoken. I was surprised when you called yesterday. The world seemed to slow down around her. It wasn't possible. They were married. They were happy. How could she have forgotten something as significant as a divorce? She went back to the doctor, who explained that the blow to her head could have caused temporary retrograde amnesia, erasing months of her memories. He assured her it was rare but possible, and that over time, the memories could return. On the way home, not the house she shared with Richard, but a small apartment she had apparently rented after the divorce, reality began to form in painful fragments. Richard explained, with visible discomfort, that after her promotion to the management of the marketing department at the company where she had worked for a decade, Dana had changed. She became competitive, controlling, often belittling her colleagues. Her friendship with Jenny and Carlos dissolved when she began demanding overtime without notice and publicly criticizing their work. And us? Dana asked with a trembling voice, looking at her hands where a wedding ring no longer existed. Richard sighed, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. I lost my job at the construction company after the merger. I found another one, but with a lower salary. You started treating me differently, as if I were less because I earned less than you. You said that if it weren't for you, the bills wouldn't be paid. Silent tears rolled down Dana's face. How could she have treated the man she loved this way? Richard, who always supported her, who encouraged her to improve herself and apply for the promotion, even knowing it would mean more responsibilities and less time together. It was my fault, wasn't it? The divorce. He did not respond immediately, and that silence was answer enough. The following days were a painful discovery. Dana combed through old emails, text messages, even her diary, which she had stopped writing about 8 months ago. The evidence was there. She had transformed into someone she hardly recognized. In one diary entry she read, Richard is still unemployed. He says he's looking, but I don't see any real effort. I'm tired of carrying this relationship on my back. The words were hers, but the feelings seemed like they belonged to a stranger. She had never considered money a factor in their relationship. They always shared everything, celebrated each other's achievements, and supported each other in difficult times. At work, the situation was equally unsettling. Jenny, once her best friend in the office, now barely exchanged 2 words with her. Carlos avoided eye contact when they passed each other in the hallway. Her assistant, Mariana, seemed constantly tense, as if expecting to be reprimanded at any moment. Reviewing the department's performance reports, Dana realized that despite meeting sales targets, employee turnover had increased significantly under her management. 3 people had resigned in the past 4 months. In a folder on her computer, she found an email she had prepared to send to HR, requesting Jenny's dismissal due to incompatibility with the company's vision. Jenny, who had stood by her during so many difficult times, who had been her maid of honor, who encouraged her to apply for the promotion, who accompanied her when she stayed late working. What happened to me? She murmured to herself, deleting the draft with trembling hands. The answer came gradually, through difficult conversations and nights of reflection. The power and recognition from the promotion had gone to her head. The fear of failure made her cling to control with excessive force. And when Richard lost his job, her own fear of financial insecurity, an echo from her childhood watching her parents struggle to pay bills, turned into resentment. She had lost everything that really mattered. Richard's love, her friendships, the respect of her colleagues. But maybe, Dana thought as she looked at the moon from the window of her lonely apartment, maybe this loss of memory was a second chance. An opportunity to rebuild, not from the ashes, but from a deeper understanding of her mistakes. The next morning, she arrived at the office earlier than usual. Instead of going straight to her office, she stopped in the common kitchen area and made coffee for everyone. When her colleagues began to arrive, they looked at her with surprise. "Good morning, everyone," she said with a nervous smile. "I would like to talk to you, if you have a moment." Gathered the team and with a pounding heart explained about the accident and the memory loss, did not use it as an excuse but as context. "From what I understand, I haven't been the leader you deserve. I haven't been the person I would like to be myself. I can't erase the past, but I can promise a sincere effort to change moving forward. I hope you can give me this chance." The silence that followed was heavy, but it was Jenny who took the first step, offering a hesitant smile. "You really don't remember anything from the last year?" Dana shook her head. "It's as if someone had torn pages from my book. But what I read about that time..." Her voice broke. "I don't like the person I've become." In the following days, Dana worked tirelessly, not only on the company's projects, but also on rebuilding bridges. She sought honest feedback about her leadership style, listened to suggestions without interrupting, and publicly acknowledged her team's good work. Small changes began to happen. Her assistant Mariana stopped shrugging when Dana approached. Carlos accepted her invitation for coffee, where they talked about their children and the soccer team they both supported. Jenny, still cautious, shared ideas for the new advertising campaign, and Dana made sure to credit her colleague during the presentation to the directors. As for Richard, the road would be longer and more difficult. She didn't want to force him to relive painful memories, but she missed him with an intensity that surprised her. After a few weeks, she invited him for coffee, not a date, just a conversation. He accepted, to his surprise. They met in a neutral cafe, far from the places they frequented when married. "You look well," he said, observing her over the coffee cup. "I'm trying to be better," Dana replied. "Not just for you or others, but for myself. I don't recognize the person I was last year." Richard nodded, his eyes softer than the last time they met. "Jenny told me about the changes at the office. She said you've been doing a good job." Dana's heart raced upon learning that he still kept in touch with their mutual friends. "You still talk?" "Occasionally." She was important during the divorce. Everyone was. The word divorce still hurt. But Dana took a deep breath. "Richard, I'm not asking us to get back together. I know I've caused damage that might be irreparable. But I want you to know that I'm deeply sorry for what I did, for what I said. You never deserved that treatment." He watched her for a long moment, as if searching for something in her eyes. "You know what's the strangest part? Part of me believes you. That this Dana sitting in front of me is more like the woman I married than the person you became last year." They continued to meet occasionally. Sometimes just for a quick coffee. Other times for walks in the park where they used to stroll. They never discussed the possibility of reconciliation, but they also never completely closed that door. 6 months after the accident, during a dinner to celebrate the success of a marketing campaign, Jenny impulsively hugged Dana after a toast. "You really came back," she whispered in her ear. Dana smiled, moved. "I'm never leaving again." That night, upon arriving home, she found a small package at her door. Inside was a broken coffee cup, carefully glued with a note. "Some broken things can be fixed with patience and care. Richard." It was her favorite cup, the one she had broken during one of her last arguments, throwing it against the wall in a fit of anger that now seemed to belong to someone else. It was just a cup, but for Dana it was the beginning. She was on the path to mending what was broken. Dana held the cup delicately, running her fingers over the repaired cracks. The memories of the past year never fully returned, just occasional flashes, like faded photographs of a life that didn't seem like hers. But perhaps that was a blessing. What mattered was not what she had forgotten, but what she had learned. That power can silently corrupt. That fear can transform love into resentment. That words spoken in moments of anger leave deep scars. And above all, that forgetting does not erase the consequences of our actions. Even without remembering, Dana had to face what she had done, ask for forgiveness, rebuild trust, and prove with actions, not just words, that she had changed. As she watched the moon through the window, the repaired cup in her hands, Dana thought that perhaps some people need to forget who they have become to remember who they really are, and that sometimes the opportunity to start over comes disguised as a loss of memory, a loss of relationships, a loss of oneself. What was important was what we did with this second chance. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.